Hey guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and as always, I welcome you to my videos. I welcome you to all of the different paradigms and belief systems and ideas that I've presented in these videos. I hope that you guys like them. And in this one, I want to speak to you guys about knowing and negating all of our knowledge. I have a tendency myself, and that's the reason I'm sharing this idea with you guys, because I'm sure you guys do exactly the same thing. But I have a tendency myself to negate all of my knowledge. I read a lot and I learn a lot as an INFJ, as an individual who loves to learn, who's curious about this world, who wants more and more knowledge, who is a constant ardent learner. I've read hundreds of books over my lifetime, not as a brag, but just as a fact. I love to read, and I have read so many books. I've learned so much information from all these books, and I have all this information, all this knowledge in my head. But as individuals, what we have a tendency to do is we negate the knowledge that we have in our head. For example, if we hear someone else talk about something, we think, oh wow, they're so smart, they know so much, blah, blah, blah. But if we have the same knowledge in our heads, we kind of think, oh, everyone seems to know that. Probably everyone knows that. It's not that important. We play down the importance of that knowledge as soon as we know something, right? If it's some knowledge outside of ourselves, it's valuable. As soon as we know it, as soon as it's in our head, it's not valuable anymore. And we have a tendency to do that with everything, right? So anything that we do is not valuable. Anything anyone else does is valuable. Anything that we have is not valuable. Anyone else has something, it's valuable. So anything that we have, we own, we are, we tend to kind of negate it. We tend to make it not valuable anymore. We tend to make it useless or a waste, or we don't value it anymore just because it's us. It's part of us. It's who we are. Why does it matter anyways, right? The reason I really wanted to share this with you guys is because a lot of the stuff I talk about, I think everyone already knows it. For example, a long time ago, I did a video on the elastic band technique. I think that's what they call it. I'm kind of missing it now. Basically, what happens is that you put an elastic band on your wrist, and every single time you have a negative thought, you kind of snap it against your wrist, and obviously causes pain. And in that way, you're kind of associating negativity or pain with negative thoughts. Eventually, every single time you have a negative thought, you're going to instantaneously have this thing, oh, I'm not going to do it. You're going to stop yourself from having that negative thought because you don't want to feel the pain. Eventually, you can kind of get rid of the elastic band because it's going to be a Pavlovian response, you know. I hope you guys know what the Pavlovian response is. I'm sure you guys do, but I'm just going to explain it quickly. Basically, Pavlovian response is by Pavlov. He was a Russian scientist, a researcher. And what he did was that he would ring a bell every single time he fed these dogs something. So he'd give the dogs a treat or some kind of meat, and then he'd ring the bell. Eventually, what happened was that because the ringing of the bell was a stimulus and it was associated with food, sometimes, even if he didn't feed them meat and he just rung the bell, their saliva would start popping out. Like they would start salivating. The dogs would start salivating, which means that they started believing that the ringing of the bell was associated with meat, with food. Right? And we do a lot of this kind of stimulus response things happens to us a lot. We kind of associate things with each other. And one of our associations is that as soon as I know something, everyone in the world knows it. As soon as I know something, it's useless information. As soon as I do something, it's not important anymore, right? I don't want you guys to do that anymore because I know I did that for the longest time. So that elastic band technique, I assumed that everyone on this planet knew about it because I had read about it a long time ago in my early 20s, and I knew about it for years at that point, and I was like, everyone must know it. Of course everyone knows it. But then I realized, okay, don't make assumptions about what other people know, what other people don't know, what they're doing, what they want to know, blah, blah, blah. Just don't make assumptions about anything. And that's why a lot of the videos that I do nowadays, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, everyone already knows this stuff. Why are you talking about it? But someone out there, perhaps, somewhere out there, probably hasn't heard of this theory. And so I did that video on elastic band techniques. And dozens of people message me saying, oh, I've never heard about this theory. That's a really interesting one. I'm going to use it, blah, 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 right? Instantaneously, the universe was giving me advice. Do not ever assume that everyone else knows what you know. Because you've read books that are different from everyone else. You've experienced things that are different from everyone else. You've done things that are different things from everyone else. You've lived in different countries from everyone else. You know, your parents are different from everyone else's. Your siblings are different. Your teachers are different. Your schools are different. Your universities, your degrees. I mean, everything that you've done is different from everyone else around you. You might have some similarities between the people that you've been with, but mostly everything that you do is very unique to you. And so you probably have information in your head that is so different and so new that if you share it with the world, everyone's going to be baffled by it. But of course, as human beings, as soon as we know something, as I said, we render it useless or unimportant. And we think, oh, it's not, everyone knows it now. Just because you know it now doesn't mean everyone knows it as well. Just because you've read this book doesn't mean everyone else has read the book as well. Just because you've had this experience doesn't mean that everyone else has had that experience as well, right? Everyone else is doing their own thing. It's completely different from what you're doing. So the reason I'm doing this video is to remind myself of that fact, obviously. To remind myself that the reason sometimes I'm sharing stuff and I think to myself, God, this is so boring because everyone probably knows all this stuff. But then I get messages from you guys saying, oh, I've never heard of this theory before, or this information is great, blah, blah, blah. And I think to myself, okay, good. This is constant reminder for me that all the information in my head is not useless. And there's a lot of stuff in my head that I should be sharing with the world, because there are probably people out there who have never heard this information before. Maybe they haven't read that book. Maybe they haven't gone through that experience. Maybe they haven't talked to that person. Whatever it might be. Not everyone knows what you know, right? And the same thing applies to you guys. Just because I am going through this thing doesn't mean that you're not going through it either, right? So a lot of you guys tell me, I don't have anything to share with the world. Everyone already knows all this stuff. I'm not anyone important. Why would anyone listen to me? Why should I do anything in the world? Why should I share my knowledge? La 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 la. And I always say the same thing to you guys every single time that you message me saying this. I was in the same boat 2 years ago. No one knew about me. I was sharing all this information and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Why am I even sharing this stuff? Everyone already knows it. No one's going to appreciate it. Why would they even care? It's just common knowledge. It's not common knowledge, guys. It's not common knowledge. Just because you think you know something really well and you think everyone else knows it, it's not true. Actually, test this out the next time you go out with your friends. Think of some fact that you know, some kind of thing, like maybe the fact that I think humans shed perhaps like 50, 60 pounds of skin in their lifetime or something like that. Something weird like that. So use some kind of fact that you think that everyone knows. You know something about Jupiter and its moons, and you're like, oh, everyone knows that information. I'm sure everyone knows it. I mean, of course everyone knows about Jupiter and its moons, right? Go ask someone about it. Go if you're at a party, ask someone, do you know about Jupiter and the blah blah blah? You'll be surprised at how often people are going to be like, oh my God, I had no idea this even happened, or I have no idea this even worked that way, or I had no idea this was even the case. Almost every single time you're going to be surprised at how few people know what you know. It happens to me over and over and over again. Not because I know more than other people, but because I know different things from the people around me. Because everyone in this world knows different things. Now, of course, there are similarities. You probably know things that I know as well. And there are probably people out there who know things as I do, and things that you know. There's probably obviously similarities. Like, we all know that the moon is, I don't know. We know that the sun rises every day, right? Moon is. Terrible example. We know that the sun rises every day. Everyone on the planet knows that. That's common knowledge. Everyone knows it. Blah, 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 right? But I'm sure there are some people in the world, if you want to call like the indigenous tribes, perhaps they don't know that the earth is not the center of the universe. Or perhaps they don't know. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying that some people might not have the same information as you. There's some things that are common knowledge, right? But some things are only knowledge to you. They're only in your head. You're the only person in your friend circle that has probably read about it or heard about it. And so it is important. The reason for all of this is it's important for us to start sharing ourselves with the world more and more. Stop negating the information in your head. Stop believing that as soon as you learn something, that it loses its value. And just because you know something doesn't mean that everyone else on the planet knows it as well. The only way we can start sharing more information and bringing people up to our level and bring people up to our knowledge level is by sharing more and more and more so every single day. By keeping all this information that you think everyone has already in your head, you're kind of doing a disservice to the world. You're not ensuring that everyone knows exactly the same things as you. It would be nice if more and more people read and more people gathered knowledge and more people were learners like us, like INFJs are or like learners are. But not everyone is like us. Not everyone loves to learn as much as we do. So it is our responsibility to share with the world. And we need to do this on a daily basis. Whichever way you want. You can use whatever format you want. You can write, you can blog, you can create videos, whatever you wish. But remember that not everyone knows what you know. So you probably have some knowledge in your head that you can share with the world and make the world a better place. And I really implore you guys to go ahead and do that. I hope this makes sense. I hope that I'm able to explain myself to you guys. And if you guys have any questions at all, please let me know anytime. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.